life interrupted. The story of Maura Murray. Maura Murray was a young woman with a bright future. She was known for her intelligence, determination, and the warmth she brought into the lives of those around her. A nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, she was dedicated to her studies and dreamed of a career in healthcare. Her passion for nursing was evident in her commitment to her coursework and her desire to help others. She was a beloved daughter, sister, and friend. Her family and friends cherished her deeply, and she was often the glue that held them together. Her life was full of promise. Maura had aspirations that extended beyond her immediate surroundings, and she was determined to make a significant impact in the world. Then, on a frigid February night in 2004, Maura vanished without a trace. The circumstances of her disappearance were as mysterious as they were alarming. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through her community and captivated the nation. People from all walks of life were drawn to her story, hoping for answers and fearing the worst. This is the story of Maura Murray, a mystery that continues to haunt us. Her case remains one of the most perplexing and talked about disappearances in recent history. Maura grew up in a close-knit family. Her upbringing was filled with love, support, and a strong sense of community. She excelled in academics and athletics. Her achievements were a testament to her hard work and dedication, and she was admired by her peers and teachers alike. She was a natural leader, known for her infectious laugh and compassionate spirit. Maura had a way of making everyone around her feel valued and understood. At UMass Amherst, she found her calling in nursing. Her professors and classmates recognized her potential and were confident she would go on to do great things. She was eager to make a difference in the world. Maura's volunteer work and her interactions with patients demonstrated her genuine care and empathy. But beneath the surface of her seemingly perfect life, there were hints of trouble brewing. Maura faced challenges and pressures that she often kept to herself. The weeks leading up to Maura's disappearance were marked by a series of strange and unsettling events. These incidents, though seemingly minor at the time, would later take on a much greater significance. These incidents, seemingly insignificant at the time, would later become crucial pieces in the puzzle of her vanishing. Investigators and amateur sleuths alike have pored over these details, searching for any clue that might explain what happened to Maura. As we delve deeper into Maura's story, we must examine these events closely to understand what might have led to that fateful night on a desolate New Hampshire road. Each piece of evidence, each witness statement, and each theory brings us closer to the truth. The mystery of Maura Murray is a chilling reminder that even in the most ordinary of lives, darkness can lurk just beneath the surface. Her story is a testament to the fragility of life and the enduring hope for answers. The search for Maura continues, driven by the love of her family and the determination of those who refuse to let her memory fade. Her story is not just one of loss, but also of the unyielding human spirit in the face of uncertainty. As we remember Maura Murray, we hold on to the hope that one day the truth will emerge and her story will find its resolution. Until then, we keep her in our hearts and continue to seek the answers that have eluded us for so long. Shadows on the horizon, unsettling signs before the storm. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, a sense of foreboding that seemed to seep into every corner of the small town. The sky, once clear and bright, now loomed heavy with dark, brooding clouds. It was as if nature itself was mirroring the turmoil that was about to unfold. In the weeks preceding her disappearance, Maura's behavior became increasingly erratic. She seemed withdrawn and troubled. There were whispers of arguments with her boyfriend and academic struggles. Friends noticed a change in her demeanor. The once vibrant and cheerful young woman now appeared distant and preoccupied. Her eyes, once full of life, now held a shadow of worry and fear. On February 5th, just days before she vanished, Maura was involved in a minor car accident with her father's car. She totaled the vehicle. Strangely, Maura refused to explain what happened. She seemed distant and evasive. Her behavior was deeply uncharacteristic. The accident left her shaken, and those close to her couldn't help but wonder if it was a cry for help or a sign of something more sinister lurking beneath the surface. This incident was the first in a string of alarming events that culminated in her disappearance. Was it just a coincidence, or was it a sign of something more sinister at play? The days that followed were marked by a series of strange and unsettling occurrences that only deepened the mystery surrounding Maura's state of mind. Maura's actions grew even more perplexing in the days that followed. She emptied her bank account, withdrawing nearly all of her savings. It was an unusual move for someone who had always been careful with her finances. The urgency with which she acted suggested a sense of desperation, as if she was preparing for something drastic. She packed her belongings, taking almost everything from her dorm room. The room, once filled with personal touches and memories, was now eerily empty. It was as if Maura was erasing her presence, leaving no trace of the life she had built there. Her friends and roommates were left baffled, unable to comprehend the sudden and drastic change. She told her professors and classmates that she needed to leave town for a family emergency. But the story was a lie. There was no family emergency. The revelation that Maura had fabricated the story only added to the growing sense of unease. What could have driven her to such lengths? What was she running from? Maura was clearly in distress, but the cause of her turmoil remained a mystery. Her loved ones were left to wonder what was going through her mind in those final days. What secrets was she hiding? And what drove her to make the fateful decision to flee her life in Amherst? The unanswered questions and the haunting sense of loss lingered, casting a long shadow over those who knew and loved her. The storm that had been brewing finally broke, leaving a trail of confusion and heartache in its wake. February 9th, 2004. A fateful journey begins. February 9th, 2004 dawned cold and grey in Amherst, Massachusetts. Maura Murray, a young nursing student, was preparing for a journey, but this was no ordinary trip. She was leaving behind her life, her belongings, and her loved ones, and she was doing it all under a cloud of secrecy. Maura packed her car, a black satin sedan with a few belongings. She left her dorm room and drove away from the familiar surroundings of the UMass campus. Her destination, unknown. Her purpose, a mystery. Maura's journey took her north through the heart of New England. She drove along winding roads, the winter landscape a blur of bare trees and snow-covered fields. As darkness fell, she reached the small town of Haverhill, New Hampshire. It was here, on a lonely stretch of Route 112, that Maura's journey would take a dramatic and terrifying turn. Section 4. Crash on a deserted road, the mystery unfolds. As darkness enveloped the isolated stretch of Route 112, Maura Murray's car, a black satin sedan, skidded off the road. It crashed into a snowbank. The impact was relatively minor, but the car was disabled. Maura was stranded, alone, in the middle of nowhere. A passing motorist, a local bus driver, saw Maura's car and stopped to help. He asked if she needed assistance. Maura, visibly shaken but seemingly unharmed, declined his offer. She told him she had already called for help. But that was another lie. Maura had not called anyone. The bus driver, sensing something wasn't right, continued on his route. He called the local police to report the accident, but by the time they arrived, Maura Murray was gone. Her car was empty. There was no sign of her. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Section 5. Vanished into the cold New Hampshire night. The first police officers arrived at the scene of Maura's accident within minutes. The cold air bit at their faces as they stepped out of their vehicles, their breath visible in the frigid night. The scene was eerily quiet, the only sound being the crunch of snow under their boots. They found her car, a black satin sedan, abandoned and locked. The vehicle was positioned awkwardly on the side of the road, as if it had skidded to a sudden stop. Snow had already begun to accumulate on the roof and hood, a testament to the relentless winter weather. The engine was still running, its low hum the only sign of life in the desolate scene. The exhaust fumes mingled with the cold air, creating a ghostly mist that hung around the rear of the car. The airbags had not deployed, indicating that the impact had been minor. The interior of the car was undisturbed, with no signs of a struggle or any immediate danger. There was a strong smell of alcohol in the car, suggesting that Maura might have been drinking before the accident. A spilled drink on the passenger seat added to the suspicion, but Maura was nowhere to be found. The officers called out her name, their voices echoing through the silent night, but there was no response. The empty road stretched out before them, a stark reminder of her sudden disappearance. A search of the immediate area yielded no clues. The officers combed through the snow, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, but there was no sign of Maura. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Maura's belongings were still in the car, including her purse, cell phone, and credit cards. These personal items left behind suggested that she had not planned to be away for long. The only items missing were a box of wine and some maps. This raised more questions than answers. Why would she take these items and leave everything else behind? It was as if she had simply walked away from the accident, leaving everything behind. Footprints in the snow led away from the car, disappearing into the darkness. The officers followed the trail, hoping for a clue. The temperature that night was below freezing. The harsh conditions would have made it difficult for anyone to survive for long without proper clothing and shelter. The wind howled through the trees, creating an eerie and unsettling atmosphere. The branches swayed and creaked, adding to the sense of unease. Where had Maura gone? The possibilities were endless and terrifying. Had she wandered off into the woods, disoriented and confused? The dense forest could easily swallow a person whole, making it nearly impossible to find them. Had she been abducted? The thought sent chills down the officers' spines. Or had she chosen to disappear, leaving behind her old life for reasons unknown? The mystery of Maura's disappearance would haunt the small town of New Hampshire for years to come, a cold case that left more questions than answers.